Okay, I hope all of you are back on the page and we'll continue with the class. People who are still there on the Jamboard, leave. Just to set certain things in order, I wanted to understand what you think of marketing and what are your views on marketing. And it was interesting to read some of the views. I will share that Jamboard with you later, where you spoke about buying, selling of products and services. Someone spoke about advertising. Someone spoke about a product life cycle. Someone spoke about image, and so on and so forth. You all are right, definitely. I mean, you all are talking a part of marketing, but is anyone talking about complete marketing? Not really. No one was wrong. You all captured it beautifully, and your views were helping me understand that most of you are aware of what marketing is, but what it also helped me understand was that most of you are aware of a part of marketing. But before I begin with what marketing is, what is the definition of marketing, I want to show you 4 products. And for those of you who are not aware of them, let me know. The first one is Maggi, the second is Wimba, the third is Sachets, and the fourth is a bite. And let me talk about the first product, most probably Maggi. And when I'm talking about Maggi, I want to come back to you people and understand from you that how many or how were you introduced to Maggi? Do you remember? How were you introduced to Maggi? Anyone?
I was actually at a hill station and it was just out of hunger. Like, I thought it was disgusting in the beginning. But being at a hill station with just hunger, I just had to try it.
So who introduced you to Maggi?
My mother.
Yourself?
No, my
Your
mother.
mother, yes. Anyone else? How were you introduced to Maggi?
I think, ma'am, the television introduced me to the Maggi because it's like that it's an instant food, which
The
gives it
first
a unique selling price.
So when you remember, no, don't get into the details of, let's keep things simple. All I'm asking is who introduced you. So you came to know about Maggie from television?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah? Anyone else? How were you introduced to Maggie? Even when I remember, I mean, Maggie has been there from way back in 1980s. I think it was my parents, yes. Anyone else? Who introduced you to Maggie?
My
My friends.
parents.
My parents.
Ma'am, TV
Anyone else?
advertisement.
It was advertisement.
Shopkeeper.
The first time you had Maggie, Manan, it was because of an advertisement and then you told your parents that get me Maggie. When was the first time when you had Maggie? How old were you?
Ma'am, like around 6, I think. I don't remember.
You don't remember? So 6, so you saw in the television and then you told your mother that I want Maggie. Till then you had never had Maggie?
No, I remember seeing the advertisement because the advertisement was
No,
really
I have a
iconic.
very specific question. I said, who introduced you to Maggie? Very
Oh,
specific. Someone
so
else
I
said shopkeeper.
And can
Can
you
you
see?
come on screen? Who was it? Who was it? My question is very specific. Who introduced Yash? When did you first have Maggie? How old were you, Yash?
I'm 8 or 9 years.
And till then you had never had Maggie, right?
Yeah,
So you saw an advertisement and then you asked your parents to help to get you Maggie, to introduce you to Maggie?
yeah, kind of.
Kind of means?
Means like advertisements attracted me
I'm
towards
asking a
Maggie.
very specific question. Why are we weaving stories? I mean, I'm asking who introduced you to Maggie, which means, I mean, who was the first person who gave you Maggie? So, Yash, you saw an advertisement and then most probably you told your parents or your friends or your family that, hey, I want this, or did you go to the shop and buy it and then make it and eat it? How did it happen?
Yeah, advertisement, then buying of the product.
So, to whom did you tell to buy the product or did you buy it yourself?
Parents.
Okay, great. So anyone else? So there are 2-3 people who put in the chat box saying family and mother. Anyone else? How were you introduced? I can see a lot of people out here.
Ma'am, I was introduced through YouTube.
Through YouTube.
Yeah,
Your name is?
Jaden.
Jaden. Jaden, so what was your age when you first had Maggie?
Probably 10.
Okay. Until then, I mean, so you saw it on YouTube and then you told your parents?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Till then, you had never been given Maggie, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Great. Anyone else? Shlok? Or most probably is this Charu?
Yes, ma'am.
When was the first time you had Maggie? Who introduced you to Maggie?
My family.
Okay, Naman, who introduced you to Maggie?
Mom, friends.
Friends. Simran, who introduced you to Maggie?
My mother.
Aditya, who introduced you to Maggie?
My family, my brother. It was my
Harshit,
brother.
who introduced you to Maggie?
My mother introduced.
Okay, great, fantastic. So when we spoke to people and we asked who introduced you to Maggie, so there were a certain section who said they were introduced by advertisement or YouTube. One person said YouTube, the others, some said through advertisement, while a majority of the people said that we were introduced to Maggie by our family, brother, mother, whatever, family members. Wow, I mean, in the sense, and for those of you who are not aware, Maggie came to India, I think somewhere in 1980s, and it's been 30 years now. I mean, definitely more than 25 years, and it is still a leading brand when it comes to so-called noodles. And I just see how we have been introduced to Maggie. I mean, the best thing that any product can ask for is most probably when its own customers are talking about it. And as we saw in this case, majority of us were introduced to it by our own family members. Wow, I mean, that's just one product we are talking about. Let me go to the other products that we have on the screen. The other product that we have on the screen is Wimbar. So I don't know whether you're aware of the story of Wimbar or not. I do hope you've been helping your family members during COVID times when maids were not there to do the dishes. Wimbar is used for the dishes, to wash the dishes. And Wimbar did what was happening, so what was happening was that there was this maid who was using the Wimbar, and the housewife used to monitor, like in every household. And somewhere there was this little fight which was always happening where they said, hey, I just gave you a Wimbar yesterday, and today it's over, when the maid used to say, I want a new Wimbar. And the maid used to be, excuse me, I'm not eating it. I mean, I'm washing your dishes. If it's getting over, then it's getting over. What did Wimbar do? Something very, very simple. Wimbar just put plastic around the bar, plastic on its 5 sides, and that gave a perception that now it's not being wasted. Wimbar became one of the leading brands when it came to dishwasher bar. The third picture, that is the sachets. I'm not aware whether you're aware of the story of sachets or not. So India is dominated by rural economy also. I mean, there is an urban market and there is a rural market. In fact, as per the statistics, there's a large number of people who stay in a rural India. They have the same needs and aspirations as you and I, most probably in urban India, but maybe they cannot afford it. They also want to buy that same shampoo. They also want to use that same shampoo. But however, maybe they cannot, that buying that big bottle of 200 or 300 rupees is not something that they are comfortable with. However, what exists in the rural India is a huge market by volume. And it was then that the FMCG companies thought, how can we reach to them? They're not comfortable buying this big bottle. Can there be a better way to help them buy this product? And that's when sachets were introduced. Sachets which were hardly 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 3 rupee, 4 rupees or something. And the rural India was also reached out by the marketing people with the help of sachet. And look at how sachets have grown. Today, you and I are also using it. When we are traveling or when we want to try a new product, so I don't want to buy a big bottle straight away and I first want to experiment with it. Definitely when we are traveling or And sachets have become such an integral part of our life, and just because someone understood our need. Similarly, bikes. When I'm talking about bike, if you look at the market, while maybe on the upper segment, it's Pulsar, which used to dominate, and in the middle segment, Hero. Now, when we are talking about bikes, maybe let me pick up the example of what's the name of the Hero's bike, which is Splendor. Yes. So Splendor was introduced somewhere in 1990s in the Indian market, and I'm not really aware how much you are aware of the Indian market. We opened up, we had liberalization somewhere in 1991, 92. Before that, the number of products that were available in the Indian market were limited. However, after 1991, suddenly we were flooded with a lot of products from all over the globe, and consumers had a lot of choices. The economy of the country also started improving at that point of time, and people wanted better things for themselves. At that point of time, Hero introduced the bike called Splendor way back in 1990s. Again, a product which has been there for more than 25 years and one of the leading in its segment. Scooters, before that it was scooters. I mean, you must have seen the famous ad on YouTube of Bajaj scooters, Hamara Bajaj. However, in comparison to the scooter was this bike. It was sleek, it was good looking, but most important, you know what Hero Splendor sells on is that it was good on fuel, it was good on mileage, and it was easy to maintain, and it was good looking as compared to the scooter. And suddenly people wanted the bike. Splendor became number one in its segment. Look at all the four products that I'm talking about, whether I'm talking about Maggi, whether I'm talking about Wimbar, whether I'm talking about sachets, or whether I'm talking about the bike. I'm talking about products which have been in the market for more than 20 years. And they have been number one. And you don't remain number one just like that. You remain number one when you understand the need of the customer. All of them are number one because they understood the need of the customer. So for example, Maggi. Way back in 1980s, Maggi was introduced as a snack, something for those evenings and afternoons when the children are happy and the mother doesn't really want to cook. When we are talking about 1980s in India, that was still a time when traditionally mothers cooked the food for the kids, and the lunch and dinner was still that traditional lunch and dinner. And at that point of time, Maggi introduced itself as a snack. Had it introduced itself as a lunch or dinner, it would have been a disaster most probably, because it would have been against our culture. However, so at that point of time, the slogan of Maggi, if I'm not mistaken, was 2 minutes. I'll get back the slogan. But as it progressed, in 2000, etc., when suddenly you and I, we pretended to be, or maybe you were just born at that point of time, when the world pretended to be health conscious, and suddenly then when Maggi was a junk food, what did Maggi do? Maggi introduced soups, and Maggi introduced, suddenly we had vegetables in the Maggis, and after looking at that little carrot and that little pea out there in the Maggi, we were so happy that we were not eating junk food and we were eating atta noodles. Yes, thanks Harsh for contributing. We were so happy that we were looking after our health, and Maggi was number one again. And then later, I think it was in 2010 or 11 or 12, and most probably you were the same age. What did Maggi say? Maggi said, hey, let's talk about share our stories and so on and so forth. And it became a campaign. Look at how Maggi progressed. At every point, they understood the need of the customer. They did not get stuck and say, no, we are only for snacks and we are only for this. We don't care what the customers think. Oh, you think Maggi is unhealthy? Fine, great, we don't care. No, they never did that. They changed with the times. Or Wimbar. I'm not really sure how much that plastic contributed in minimizing the wastage of the bar, but it was you and I, our perception. We thought that that plastic was minimizing the wastage, and they said, so go ahead, we'll do it for you as long as you, my customer, are happy. Or sachets, again, that rural customer who had the need, who wanted to use that shampoo or that, or for that matter, if you remember, even jeans. So what did Arvind do? When you buy jeans, most probably you buy stitched jeans, you buy branded jeans, which cost, which are pretty expensive, 2,000, 3,000, whatever. That customer in rural India also wanted to wear jeans. However, he couldn't afford this. And just because he can't afford this, should he not wear jeans? That's so unfair. So what did Arvind do? Understand the need of the customer. They came up with ready-to-stitch jeans. So they could get it stitched, and even after getting it stitched, all it cost that person was something like 400 or 500 years. And so I'm talking about some time back, and yet they had a brand with them. And we captured an untapped segment, an untapped market, simply because you understood the need of the customer. And that's exactly what marketing is. Marketing is as easy or as difficult as that. Marketing is understanding the need of the customer. If you do not, marketing is respecting the customer. Marketing is saying, yes, I don't know, and I want to learn from you, my dear customer. Marketing, and yet we are doing business. Please understand, I'm here to teach you business. Even the best of the NGOs, even an NGO, it only works on a no profit, no loss basis. You cannot do business if you will continuously incur losses. And therefore, yes, we respect the customer. We will meet the needs of the customer, but marketing is meeting the needs of the customer profitably. And Peter Drucker has said, Peter Drucker is a very, very famous management guru, and he said, business has just two functions, marketing and innovation. When you'll go through various books, you'll find a lot of definitions, but basically, if you look at them, they're all talking about the same thing. Another definition says that marketing is actually the whole business. It's the whole business seen from the point of view of the customer. It's a viewpoint which looks at the entire business process as a highly integrated effort to discover, create, arouse, and satisfy customer needs. And yes, that's what we are going to learn. Maybe as simple as this, or maybe as difficult as this, to understand the need of the customer. How do you understand the need of the customer? You understand the need of the customer through 4 Ps, which we will discuss. But before that, let me take a break and come back to you. Anyone who has any comment or anything which you would like to share, or anything which you have not been able to understand, shoot, or else I continue. Okay, great. If you have nothing to say, then most probably, let me go to the article which I shared with you. And I'm grateful to those few people who replied. Thank you so much for taking out time to read. It was a beautiful article. It's from Harvard Business Review. For those of you who haven't got time out of your busy schedule to read that article, believe me, it's worth it. And when I go to that article, I hope I have it on my screen. Yes. It talks about almost the same things. I like what, can you see it? Is it visible on your screen, or should I increase the size?
It's visible, ma'am.
It's visible? Okay, I really like what it says here. Look at this. It says globalization does not mean imposing homogeneous solutions in a pluralistic world. It means, here it is, it means having a global vision and strategy, but it also means cultivating roots and individual identities. So beautiful. And with that, they have explained with Wix that how they were successful because they used marketing properly, And when I come, and for those of you who haven't read this, it's here. It says, we were focused on making Vicks a household name in India. I mean, and this article is a pretty old article. It's again an article of 1990s, and Vicks is still there in the market. You and I, we are still using Vicks. So, and it says, look at here, if you can see my arrow, I'm not sure. It says, I felt intoxicated. I had discovered it was she who paid my salary. And who is she? She is the customer. It is the customer who is paying your salary. It is the customer which helps you become successful, become the number one. And he found out only when he went in the field. A very important thing this article talks about is marketing does not happen in those closed doors. Marketing does not happen by sitting in the office. Marketing happens when you're out there in the field, talking to your customers, listening to your customers. More important, listening to your customers, because it's only then that you understand the need of the customer. And it says the irony is that all the money a company makes is made outside the company. Yet the employees spend their time inside the company, usually arguing over turf. Such a company can never succeed, because unless and until you are close to customers, there is no way that you can become number one. And it gives an example of this, for those of you who've read this, when he actually went and met this customer. He found out that she's using Vicks by putting it in hot water and inhaling it. And they were like, oh, this is also how Vicks can be used, and this is how customers are using it. They found a new way of promoting Vicks, and it's only because he was out there in the field. And it says, see, it says here, instead of drinking tea that evening, we inhaled Vicks VapoRub. The article further goes on to talk about not reinventing the wheel. Yes, it's important to be innovative, very important, and creative, because the only constant thing in the world is change, and if you don't change, you perish. However, what do you mean by change? So look at the example of even Wim Bar. They were innovative, but innovative does not always have to be something which will get you a Nobel Prize. They were innovative when they just introduced those 5-sided plastic cover, and yet at the same time they had not reinvented the wheel. Every time when you need to be innovative and creative, it doesn't mean upsetting everything and anything that exists and starting from scratch. Innovation can also be adding on to what is already there. Here on this page, it also talks about, I acquired another important mindset. When you are number one, you must not grow complacent. So true, because if you have to survive in the market, there is no way that Maggie, Wim Bar, or Sachets, or Splendor would have remained number one had they just sat back and said, oh great, we are number one now, we don't need to do anything. No, they have to keep changing according to the needs of the customer, because you and I, we keep changing. What we liked 10 years ago, maybe we don't like it today, or maybe we wanted with more accessories, with more additions, and unless and until you are in touch with your customer, you would never know that. And finally, the article, it ends by talking about how they understood that people, how they increased over here, how they increased the sales of their product, and all they did was they were facing a backlash from the distributors. The product was not easily available. So what did they do? They tried to understand that how is it that they understood that customers are using this product not as a medicine, they're using it as a home remedy. And if they're using it as a home remedy, they changed the registration of the same so that the product was not just available at the chemist shop, the product was available at grocery stores, the product was available everywhere. and their sales grew like anything the moment they did that. Again, a product which has been in the market for long. I'm telling you about products, not which came yesterday and disappeared tomorrow. I'm not talking about products which were just there for a short period of time. I'm talking about products which have been there for more than 20, 25 years in the Indian market, and successful products. And they've been successful because they understood the need of the customer. They understood that what the customer needs, and accordingly they designed their product, accordingly they priced it, accordingly they promoted it, and accordingly they distributed it, right? And when they did these 4 P's together, what they had was doing business profitably. At any point of time, if you do not understand something, please stop me and ask. So what are we going to do in Fundamentals of Marketing? We are going to understand marketing by a quick review. We will analyze and select the markets. We will make the product. We will then price it and promote it. And finally, we will distribute it. But before we do that, a quick review of how marketing came into the picture. And maybe most of you are aware of this. For those of you who are not, I'll quickly go through this. Marketing as a concept did not always exist. What we had was a production concept. And what is a production concept? The production concept is defined beautifully by the statement which says that any customer can have a car painted any color that he wants so long as it is black. Or most probably, if you look at the Indian scenario, any customer can have the Bajaj scooter as long as you're willing to wait. I don't know if you're aware of this story. This rumor goes, or the legend goes, I don't know whether it is true or not, that Bajaj scooter at one point of time in 1970s, if you booked a Bajaj, Hamara Bajaj, you had to wait for 10 long years sometimes before you got it. Can we even think about it now? I mean, if you don't get a product within a limited period of time, we don't want it. But then today we are in the marketing concept. In the production concept, what does it mean? The customer did not have too many choices, and therefore he had to buy whatever was available. So for example, if you were in India in 1970s and 80s, the number of brands of cars was limited, and the 2 brands that dominated were Ambassador and Fiat. So you really didn't have too much of a choice when it came to buying a car. You wanted to buy a car, you either bought an Ambassador or you bought a Fiat. Today, if you want to buy a car in India, you have 10, 15, 20, 25, I don't know how many brands you have. But then we are in the marketing concept today, while what we are talking about is a production concept which was dominated by producers. So the customer really didn't have too much of a choice. And then came the product concept. So what is a product concept? Most probably, let me help you understand this with an example. So mobile phones were introduced in India, I think again in 1990s, and if you see the photographs, the mobile at that point, I don't have a photograph right now, was a big, black, ugly looking box. And yet, at that point of time, the calls were, I think, 16 rupees for every incoming call and 32 rupees for every outgoing call per minute, something like that. But all you could do was receive the calls and make the calls. At that point of time, had the companies introduced internet, music, what else is there in the phones these days? I mean, all these features at that point of time, would it have been successful? Any idea? Had we introduced all those features at that point of time, do you think it would have been successful? Khushi?
Yes, ma'am.
Had we introduced a mobile phone in 2000, even in 2000 or 98, 99 was just could take calls and we could make calls and receive calls. At that point of time, had the companies introduced internet facilities on it, would it have helped increase the sales?
No, ma'am, I don't think so.
Why,
Because
Kushi?
at that time, no one knew how to use internet. So if they were not informed, they would not probably use it.
Okay. Anyone else who would like
Ma'am, I disagree. I
Yes,
think
Charu?
if it was introduced, people try to learn it and people will become more advanced.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Arya,
agree with her,
you agree with whom, Shreya? With Charu
Charu.
or Kushi?
Because because it's like that now we are saying even now most of the people don't know how to use it, but they are trying to learn new things. Like
Yes.
when a new thing comes to the market, people try to learn it. So I think even if it come at that time, they would surely try to learn.
Okay, Harshit, I mean, is it possible for you to switch on your mic? You've made a very valid
Yes,
point.
ma'am.
Yes, Harshit.
Ma'am, if it were to be this costly, not so, there would be a very small section of people who would be able to afford it. So it won't be
Beautiful.
a big
Yes.
market for
So
the companies.
Charu and Shreya, I will help you understand what Harshit and Khushi have said. You're right. Yes, we have to introduce people to things. Only then will they learn. Somebody introduced me to microwave. Somebody introduced me to washing machine. Somebody introduced me to the dishwasher. And that's how I learned how to use them. I absolutely agree with you. However, let's understand what Khushi and Harshit are trying to say. At that point of time, better go back in 98, 99, at that point of time, even buying the mobile phone was a big deal in itself. If you had a mobile phone at that point of time, and if it rang, your status suddenly went up. Now, if your phone rings, you're thrown out of the class. And it was damn costly. As I said, 32 rupees for every incoming call, every outgoing call, and 16 rupees for every incoming call. How many people were there to buy it? Have you understood the market? I mean, please understand my country at that point of time. How many people were able to afford it? How many people were able to buy it? A very, very minuscule number of people. And had we added internet, etc., at that point of time on the mobile phone, who would have used it out of that minuscule people, a more minuscule number? And not only that, how was the availability of internet at that point of time? Was internet as easily available as it is now? No, internet was a luxury at that point of time. Internet was still only used to access your emails, etc., and that to your official emails, etc., in office. Internet was not something which was an integral part of our life at that point of time. Yes, had they introduced internet at that point of time, most probably they would have made a place for themselves in the books of history for being innovative. But business is not just about being innovative. Business is also about being innovative profitably. The amount of investment that would have gone, because please understand, every time when you do an innovation, it doesn't happen free. There is time and effort, and time and effort is money. The time and effort that we would have invested in it would not have given the returns for a long period of time. The break even would have been at a very, very long period of time. It is saying something like this, that and business, I mean, you need a return on investment. That's why you are in business. At that point of time, yes, they would have been the innovators. However, business-wise, it would have been a complete failure. And that is why they waited for the right time. Today, if a phone can't have internet, it's a failure. Right? Look at how in 20 years things have changed. When exclusive people were using the phone way back in 98, 99, today it's a mass product. Today people don't have one mobile, people have two, three mobiles. And yes, today people want value addition. At that point of time, making and receiving a call in itself was something which was a novelty for people. They were happy with that. And they were satisfied with that. Had you added more things on their plate, it would not have been appreciated. Because please understand that we can only appreciate so much. We may think of ourselves as God's gift to mankind who can really appreciate everything. We can't. We only appreciate so much. And at that point of time, that appreciation level had been hit. So whether you see it from any point of view, at that point, and this is what is called product concept. When you get obsessed with your product, when you do not understand whether the customer needs it or doesn't need it, but you are so obsessed with your product that you want to show to the world that I can do it. And that's where problems arise. Because then you are giving to the customer not what he or she needs, but you're giving to the customer what you think he or she needs. And that's a disaster. That's a disaster because marketing has nothing to do with what you and I think. Marketing has everything to do with what my customer thinks, what my customer wants, what my customer needs. And if my customer needs only so much, learn to respect it. Learn to respect it and don't force your genius, the so-called genius that you think you are, on the customer. Let me stop at this point of time because we still haven't covered the marketing journey. But any doubts at this point of time? Anyone?
I have a point to say. I don't know if it's correct or not, but
yes.
Like we say that what you explained about internet, if I take it to cars, like it was initially a luxury because only the high class people used to afford it. But now currently it has become a necessity. Like most of the people are buying cars and it's not only the most upper section of the society. So I think that like at that time, car must have been a revolution that it's, transporting people like this. But then I think that now since it's come to down society, even internet would have been the same.
So internet is the same. You're right, Shreya. I mean, look at it now. Now internet is an integral part of our life. Yes, definitely. I mean, but there is a phase, there is a time in which it happens, right? And therefore,
Yes.
as a business person, you need to understand at what point should we put the investment. The investment has to give you return also. Obviously, I mean, it would have, there is, at that point of time, had they invested so much of money in it, as I said, you would have become famous. But what about business? What about business? And did I, as a consumer, want it then? Honestly, I didn't want it. I was very happy with the call only. And also, I'll just correct you, Shreya. I mean, this has nothing to do with what we are talking right now. But I just want you to understand my country better. Car is still a luxury. I mean, you people belong to that socioeconomic class, and you should be grateful to God and parents that you can think car is a basic necessity, but in my country, car is still a luxury. When COVID is over, step out of your house and go and see the people who are outside your community, and maybe then you will understand. Yeah. So yes, the number of people who can afford a car today has definitely increased in my country. There is no doubt about it. There's a huge number who can afford to buy a car, but there's still a huge number who cannot afford to buy a car. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, I think